Hey Sanctuary family, this is the video that you've all been waiting for. Today is the day. We're gonna do a tour of the sanctuary, but I'm talking a full tour of the sanctuary. Like MTV Crib style tour, I'm gonna show you the ins and outs of everything here. All of our animals, buildings, and housing, how we designed and created everything, all of our animals, playgrounds, the enrichment stations, the water park, and I'll even show you some of the unaesthetic parts of sanctuary life. You know, everybody's got those dirty junk drawers, right? I'll show you our sanctuary's dirty junk drawers. I'll even show you some secret behind the scenes projects that I haven't even shared with anybody yet. All right, Herd, you ready to give him the tour? Phoenix, buddy, what are you trying to say? That's really rude. Don't you kick us, Phoenix. Oh, Phoenix! So our sanctuary rests on a spacious 52-acre property that's a perfect little hidden haven of peace and natural beauty. And from the moment that you step onto the grounds, you're surrounded by just wide stretches of lush green grass, towering shade trees, a beautiful and peaceful stream, and vast open pastures that provide space for the animals to be able to graze, roam, relax, and play freely. There's also beautiful, serene ponds that all the animals love to swim in and cool off on hot summer days. And one fun fact about our sanctuary is that our sanctuary also happens to be located on a private airport. So this area that we're standing on right now is actually a 2,500-foot grass runway, and it seems to be one of the animals' favorite spots due to the delicious and special centipede grass that paves the runway. So if you're a pilot, you could always drop in and buzz the tower, but you can't land because there's cows on the runway. Running along the edge of the property is a wild nature trail that has one of the property's hidden treasures, a long stretch of fencing that's covered in wild blackberry vines. They're not in season right now, so I can't show you any blackberries, but when they bloom, the branches all come alive with rich, delicious berries, and the animals love this natural buffet. We're even blessed to be able to have our very own personal and private doggy beach located right here at the sanctuary. Whoa, guys, careful! Doggy beach isn't just a nickname, it is an actual beach with real sand in between your toes. After the hurricane, we had to rebuild our seawall for the pond, so we did extensive research and we found that huge concrete blocks and sand was actually a much cheaper alternative to a wooden seawall, and it works just as well. So we actually got sand shipped in straight from the beaches of Florida so that we felt like we had a piece of our hometown where we grew up here in our new home in South Georgia. And this spot right here is where our house used to be before the hurricanes knocked it down, and we were going to rebuild it, but honestly that topic could be its whole own video, so we'll save that for another day. The pool is still here, obviously, though the storms have left it with plumbing issues, so we can't use that either. So for now it just sits there waiting until we decide what we're gonna do with it. Coming off of the pool area is our dock, and we had to rebuild this too after the hurricane. Even though we don't have a house here anymore, we do still like to come out here and sit and enjoy the view and let the dogs swim at their little doggy beach. With a stick? Go get it! Now to the good stuff. Next stop on the tour is the Enrichment house. This is basically a giant puzzle playground that we built with a huge busy board covered with different gadgets and toys to figure out, and balls and wind chimes dangling and hanging from the sides. And this is so great to keep the animals busy and occupied. They love messing with all of the different items and making music with the chimes and climbing all over it. It's basically like their version of an arcade and a gym all rolled into one. Animal enrichment is really important and great for so many reasons. Overall, just really helps improve the quality of their lives, so enrichment is something that we really focus on heavily here. I think a lot of people look at our setup for the animals and just assume that this is just something fun for them and it's cutesy, so that's why we do it. But really, we have such a deeper reason to having all these fun items for the animals, because it truly does keep them happy and healthy and busy and less destructive. And when you have animals like rescue animals that come with various different unique personalities that are usually maybe a little bit more difficult and challenging and keep you on your toes, the more enrichment that you can provide, truly the better, and I feel like we can never have enough for them. Which is why you'll constantly see us building more and new items to add into their playgrounds. I don't think we're ever going to be truly done building out their playgrounds. We will forever just keep adding on to it as we continue to think of more fun and unique ideas. Okay, so this is our fresh water station, and we installed an automatic sink that constantly fills fresh water so that we never have to worry about filling up fresh water buckets for the animals, and it is such a dream. We built this whole whole little pump house situation to be able to protect the pipes in there from animals and weather. And then we added one of our 24/7 live streaming animal cameras right here because it's the cutest spot when the animals come up to drink the water right in front of the camera. Alright, so now moving into the animal neighborhood, let's start with the luxury goat condos. I feel like I say this for every project, but this was definitely one of my favorite builds. We started this out with a plain, basic, 40-foot long red metal barn building. I literally scribbled out this totally random design that I had in my head, and we actually brought it to life. We turned this large 40-foot long building into individual animals' houses, each with their own personalized and unique individual design that each has a very unique and meaningful story behind it. As you'll see, there's nameplates on every single door thanking the donors that helped sponsor this build out to make this possible. And so each of these designs are deeply meaningful to us and the sponsors. And so it just makes me love this project so much more because of the meaning behind it. One of the cool parts about this build is that while it is individual houses, when you actually look inside, each little house is actually really spacious, and we used hog panel fencing to be able to allow the animals to see each other through the wall so that they can feel like they're all together while getting their own private space. We do get a lot of questions about why we separate our goats because goats are herd animals and do like to be together. However, when it comes to sleeping and eating, it can be very beneficial to separate them because then we can control their feeding, monitor their health better, help prevent different things like bullying and injuries that happen overnight when we're not there. We can help manage special needs, all sorts of things. And we've really found that our animals thrive having their own space, and I think you could definitely see that in our nighttime routine videos when you see that each and every animal puts themselves away into their own individual house, and if there is another animal that goes into their house, they'll actually sit there and wait for the other animal to get out of their house so that they can have their space. Anyway, as you can see, this building has nice tall ceilings, windows on the end, plenty of ventilation for them. We have solar powered lights on the top so they're not just in the dark. This little alleyway makes it super easy to clean out the stalls. We could just open the gate to be able to muck it out, and of course every animal has their own food and water bowl in their stall. All right, the next house in the neighborhood is Charlotte's ice cream truck house, and this is definitely one of my favorite builds too. Listen, don't judge me, I love them all, okay? But I really love this one because of what it means to Charlotte. We found this beat up old junky ice cream truck dying in a junkyard, and we brought it back home, fixed it up, cleaned it up, and upcycled it into Charlotte's ice cream truck house. And fun fact about Charlotte is our little escape artist, and no matter what I could do before, she would escape and break out of every single house that we put her in. She would literally just knock walls, gates, and doors down to be able to escape out of her house. And for some reason, she is so comfortable in this ice cream truck house that ever since we put her in this house, she doesn't ever try to escape it. I don't know what it is about this old beat up truck, but she loves it, and I just love that for her. All right, on to the cat condo. Okay, so this is a really fun one. This building is actually an old retired fire safety house trailer. It's a trailer designed to look like a miniature house for kids, and the fire departments would bring this fire safety trailer to the schools, put the kids inside of it, lock them in, and then pump smoke inside of this little miniature house to simulate a fire happening inside of their house and basically teach them how to escape a house fire. We actually found this on eBay, and it was all the way out in Mandeville, Louisiana, and they listed it for practically nothing, and we won the auction. Because, I mean, I guess who else is really in the market for an old fire safety trailer? So we brought it home and converted it into a cat condo. Nothing in the kitchen works because it's all just fake and for show, so we don't have to worry about anything bad happening with the cats jumping on the stove and turning it on or anything like that, which is perfect. We added an air conditioning unit in here to keep it cool at all times. There's literally a whole upstairs bedroom that we decorated to be an actual bedroom, putting pictures on the wall so that they're nice and cozy and it feels like a real home for them. It's got a little miniature sized bed and even a patio with a little ladder going down it, of course, because the kids needed a way to escape this house, right? Oh, and if you're wondering what these random bricks lying around everywhere are, this is what I used to be able to put our live streaming cameras on. So I'll move the live streaming camera inside the cat condo and just set it down on top of the bricks. Honestly, it's such a perfect little cute upstairs downstairs house that if it wasn't for the fact that I have to actually crouch down to be able to walk through this thing, I probably would have just moved into this house myself after I lost my real house to the hurricane. But it really is such a perfect house for cats. So the upstairs has the bedroom, of course, and the downstairs has the living room and the bathroom. We converted this room into the bathroom, but this was the room that they housed all the the smoke systems and tubes and pipes to be able to pump the smoke through the entire building. But we thought it'd be the perfect place to put the litter box so that it kind of keeps the smell hidden inside of this room. And then we just cut a little kitty door so they can get in and out of it. This room also already had ventilation in the ceiling, which is so perfect because it helps air out this room and pump the kitty poo smell out and keep the house smelling nice and fresh. This is what the cute living room looks like. Yes, I have to crouch for the upstairs and the downstairs. Remember, this is a miniature house designed for kids. So in the living room, I've got all their toys, beds, a chair for me to hang out with them, and it even has its own fireplace. And it always makes me laugh when I clean this house because I'm literally vacuuming it and shampooing the carpet and wiping down the counters and literally making my cat's bed just like you would a real house, and that just makes me crack up. Next house in the neighborhood is Albie and Wilbur's bungalow house, and this house actually used to be a kid's playhouse, and we found it on Craigslist back when Craigslist was still a thing. And honestly, using a kid's playhouse and converting it into an animal's house was probably the easiest conversion ever because we really didn't have to do almost anything to this house. It already has lots of windows and ventilation and stays nice and cool, and all we had to do was add some metal sheeting to the roof to give it a little bit of a stronger roof. And then the only other thing that we did to this besides painting it was add hog wire to the windows so that we could leave the windows open all night long so they get a nice cool breeze in the night but predators can't get in. And then you'll notice that there are names painted all over this building, and that's because these are all of the people who supported us during our move. We did a $1 donation challenge, and every single person that donated even just $1 got their names written on Animals Housing as our way of showing our appreciation to the people that help support us and get us to our new property. And then the little goat faces that you see on the building are actually handcrafted art welded together out of old horseshoes that Kevin's aunt made. She has an awesome business and creates some of the coolest horseshoe art I've ever seen, and she designed these 3 goats for us in honor of 3 of our goats that passed away. Looking back on it, this was actually one of the very first animal houses that we ever had, and it is still one of the strongest houses that we have to this day. So 10/10 would recommend using a children's playhouse as an animal's house. All right, the next neighbor is Scruffaluffagus and his little mini mansion. This little mini mansion actually used to be a pump house for your pipes or your well to be able to protect it when it gets really cold out, but it was actually so massive and huge that it just worked out to be the absolute best animal's house. And of course, we had to customize it to be able to fit his massively long horns because he couldn't get through the door without having to shift his whole head sideways to be able to fit his horns. So we customized that for him by measuring the shape and the length of his horns and then stenciling that out onto the door and turning the door into Dutch doors so that he has that gap in the middle to be able to walk through. And a lot of people ask why Scruffaluffagus is separate from the other goats, because even though we have the other goats all together in one building with the see-through walls where they can see each other, Scruffaluffagus is a true introvert and he just wanted his own peace and his own space completely away from all the other goats. And so just like any new animal that comes to our sanctuary, we always accommodate and customize their housing to them and their unique personalities. Scruffaluffagus' next door neighbor is Wilma, and she lives in her townhouse, and we created Wilma's townhouse using an old grain silo that we dug out of a junkyard. We added a little front porch on it, and we cut out a hole in the side of the grain silo and framed it out to have a door. Ironically, the inside of this was already painted piggy pink when we got it, so all I had to do was just freshen up the paint color a little bit. It even had this little random beaded chandelier at the top, and I just left it because it was a vibe. And I noticed the other day that Wilma was actually sneaking tenants in without letting me, the landlord, know. Here's a really cool little bird's nest that I haven't seen the bird yet. I've been on the lookout, but obviously even the birds feel comfortable in Wilma's little townhouse. And just like every other one of our animals' houses, we cut out windows and we framed it out with hog wire so that there's lots of ventilation, but predators can't get in. And then because the grain silo had this perfect little opening in the top, we stuck a solar powered fan right there. So she even has a fan in the ceiling to really help keep this building cool. Because it is a metal building, it tends to get a little bit hotter in the summertime. So the solar fan and 3 windows and lots of ventilation helps out so much. Wilma's next door neighbor is Olivia, and Olivia lives in her duplex. And this building we actually built and created using deconstructed horse stalls from a barn that was being torn down. And we salvaged all the wood from it. And this wood is so cool because it's actually tongue and groove boards, so the wood actually just connects together like Legos to hold it in place, which I think is awesome. And we built this to be 2 different animals' houses connected together to give it that duplex effect. And this side of the duplex used to belong to our goat Scout, but she passed away, and so now we've had some ducks temporarily move in as month-to-month tenants because eventually they will be getting a totally separate house. And then inside the duplex, instead of building a solid wall to separate the 2 separate houses, we did the same thing that we did inside of the luxury goat apartments, and we put a a hog panel up so the animals can see each other and feel like they're together, but still have their own private space. And in this house, we've got automatic waterers, those same sinks that we use for the freshwater station. And eventually, I really want to add these automatic sinks inside of everybody's house. That's the plan, so that we never have to fill water buckets up again. That would be such a dream, wouldn't it? And then Olivia's duplex has the best view on the block because right outside the front door of her duplex is our Barnyard Bay water park. This is our most recent build, and you guys are actually the ones that helped me come up with the name for this. Barnyard Bay is so perfect because it is a water park that is for all of our animals, not just the ducks. The Barnyard Bay water park has definitely become the go-to hangout spot for all the animals as of lately. And the way that we designed this was we had 2 playground boats, and we scored some awesome cannons straight from the Disney auction. They used to be on the iconic Pirates of the Caribbean ride that now squirt out water right over our 16 by 16 splash pad wading pool. We made the wading pool using a wooden frame to frame out the pool. We added some pallets for deck on the side, and on the bottom we have tarps and horse mats on top of the tarps so that the animals can't rip holes in the tarps. Cool little thing that I almost never show with these boats is that the bottom of these boats actually have a whole little hidden room, which eventually we plan to convert into animals housing, which would be so cool. We just have to make them waterproof because when it rains, the water does flow through the top of the deck and into that bottom area. And then coming off the top of the boats, we've got the plank because we just let our animals settle their disputes with each other by making each other walk the plank. Just kidding, just kidding. And then you guys are never gonna believe this, but once we built our water park, the mythical and infamous lake monster Ogopogo decided that he wanted to move in and make our very own Barnyard Bay his home. So if you're claiming that you caught a sighting of the rare Ogopogo in a lake somewhere, I'm sorry to say that you're mistaken because he lives here at our sanctuary. And as crazy as it is, none of the animals here are afraid to swim in the water knowing that there's a lake monster in there. They actually just welcomed Ogopogo right to our sanctuary because I guess they know that the misfits belong here. And then I've been getting a lot of questions about how we keep the water park clean because obviously anywhere where ducks are swimming is bound to get nasty fast. So I promise I'll make a whole entire video on how we clean the water park. Next on the tour is Cluckingham Palace. We built this building out of an old carport that was left on our property when we bought it, and we framed it out with wood. And you guys are used to seeing the chickens come out of their little gnome doors that we created for them, a little fire and ice style gnome door. We went around the property and picked up tree branch sticks and screwed them to the outside to give this cute little wooden cottage look. And oftentimes people just see the little gnome doors and they think that all these chickens live in this tiny little house. But when you get inside the building, this is actually a huge chicken coop. And then when they come outside of their little gnome doors, we have this large netted aviary for them. And so you'll notice that all of our birds are currently separated from the rest of the animals, which I absolutely do not like at all, but we have to keep them all inside of an aviary because some of the birds that we have can fly away, like the peacocks and the Muscovy ducks, and also because we have a lot of predators here, so to protect them, we just keep them netted in at all times. And then really quick, for those of you who are wondering how we keep this chicken coop clean, there's actually a big giant sliding door that we can open up right here and pull a cart up to it and just gut everything to be able to do a deep clean on it. And so yeah, eventually we plan to net in our entire animal area so that all of our smaller animals like the goats, pigs, birds, everybody will all be netted into the same area together, just like we had at our last property. We had a huge massive aviary that covered our entire animal area again, and we are definitely going to be doing that again soon. And then I love the way the outside of our chicken coop looks. It has a custom paint job that was done by the Chi Omega sorority girls from the Valdosta State University. The girls came out to the sanctuary one day to help paint this, and they did such a good job. So vibrant and colorful and meaningful. I absolutely love it. And as you can see, when you get in here, it is such a spacious building. There's plenty of nesting boxes for everybody. I actually found these nesting boxes old and used on the Facebook Marketplace, and I painted them nice and bright and colorful. And then right across from the nesting boxes, we have the roosting bars with a window view, so as they're sitting there roosting, they can keep an eye out on the window, and the window also prevents a cross ventilation, so it keeps it nice and cool in here. More roosting bars on the other side, so there's roosting bars on both sides and nesting boxes on both sides. So plenty of nesting boxes and plenty of roosting spaces for everybody. Yep, what she said. We also have an automatic waterer in here as well, so this way they always have fresh, clean water at all times, and we don't have to really worry about filling it. And so yeah, that is Cluckingham Palace. One thing I will say is that I really need to put a better door handle on here because right now I've gotten locked in here so many times because we only had the door latch on one side of the door, so we cut this little hole in the wall so we could just reach our hand in to get the latch, and it's kind of a pain. We definitely need to fix this, but gives me a little peeping hole. Look, they all immediately stopped talking as soon as they thought I was gone. I'm still here, though. Now I can easily spy on them. All right, next stop on the tour is Rooster Row. The cage is in the shape of an octagon with 8 individual rooster cages. It was made out of 4 chain-link dog kennels and 8 door gates, and you can easily drive all the way around the entire structure to access it from all points. A few of the cages have access doors from the outside. Each cage area leads into a little center room that connects to everyone's cages so that we can access everyone all in the same place. This setup has made feeding so much easier because we don't have to get inside of the roosters' cages anymore, and we can just spin around and fill their bowls from inside this little center room. Being honest, this is actually my least favorite build. It was a cool concept and idea to be able to feed all the roosters in the little middle part without having to actually get into the cages, because as you know, sometimes roosters can be a little bit mean, but overall, this cage system just doesn't live up to our animal housing standards. And so actually, one of the very next projects that we're going to be working on is building a cuter and safer house for all the roosters, just like all the other animals have. Next, we've got Duck Island, and we call this Duck Island because it's actually an island and the ducks live on it. We actually took our natural lake and trenched out moats so that we could basically take the natural pond and wrap it all the way around this little area right here, creating a little island for the ducks. We wanted to be able to tap into the natural ponds that we had on the property, but again, we needed to be able to put the flying ducks inside of an aviary so that they are protected. And then even though we want to net over the entire island area, we started out by just building this little box area, and then we can extend onto it. We're using these, I believe they're 50-foot tall poles to hold the netting up. And then we framed out the inside of the aviary using all sorts of different fencing, panels, mesh, because we needed it to go all the way down to the bottom of the pond so that the ducks couldn't swim out and so that turtles can't swim in. So we've got these T-posts, we've got chicken wire, we've got mesh, we've got fence panels, all sorts of stuff going on here. And then we've got the little orange houses, which is where the ducks sleep, and we lock them in this little area, and I let them outside in the morning so that they can go swimming, but this way they're even more protected from the predators. And then for the roofing, we've got this military camo netting to be able to provide some shade, and then underneath it, we're actually using old batting cage netting. This was the cheapest alternative for netting to be able to net such a large area in, and it actually is very durable and holds up really well. The ducks, along with the chickens and the roosters, are all next in line to get brand new houses built out, and they'll all be moved over into the animal play area so that all the animals will be together. So we've got some pretty big projects coming this way, so you guys are definitely going to have to stay tuned for that. All right, so the next stop on the tour is Sonar's spot. So Sonar is our blind little cow, and his area is set up a little bit differently than everybody else because he's blind, so we have to accommodate that. Sonar stays with his seeing eye friend Eeyore, and Eeyore and Sonar get this huge, massive, triple wide 30 by 12 stall. So I mean, he's got a lot of space in this stall that he can move around in, and this is kind of actually his comfort stall. It's his safe space. He knows it, he loves it, and so we just leave it open for him to be able to go in and out of the stall all day, anytime he wants. And so he kind of just hangs out right here in this general spot. And we're actually remodeling his outer area because now that we have our food truck, we have to drive our food truck around this path to be able to get in a circle around all the animals. And this area was part of his outer pasture. So we've had to take down this outer pasture, and we just recently rearranged it to this outer pasture. This new outdoor space that he has is probably 10 times the size as the smaller pasture space that he used to have, which kind of works out perfectly because he's getting bigger and he needs more space. He can also go in the other pasture, which is the dry lot right on the other side of this white fence here. That's where all the other cows hang out at, so he can go in with them as well. But when the other cows go out into the main yard and they're swimming all in the lakes and everything, we don't allow him to go out there with everybody because he can get left behind and lost really easily, and so he just stays in this big, huge outdoor area. So he does get time with the other cows, which is nice, but then he also has his safe space that he loves as well. Of course, I have to show you how we store all these animals feed. So this is our Movin' Munchies food shed truck, and basically what we did was we found an old retired FedEx truck and we converted it into a mobile food shed. And let me tell you, this mobile food shed truck is my absolute favorite thing that we have ever done. This has been a total and complete game changer when it comes to feeding. Not only has it made it so much quicker, but everything is so much more organized. We can just go from house to house to house, no carrying buckets and bins and all these things, no having to run back
to the food shed because we forgot something. Seriously, this food truck has cut down our feeding time drastically and made feeding routines so much more stress-free. And on top of it, if we ever did need to evacuate, because if you know us, you know that's always on my mind, everything vital that we would need food-wise is now already loaded in a truck ready to evacuate with, and I love that. So just 100 out of 10, definitely recommend a movable mobile food storage shed truck. Best decision ever. Now let me give you a little behind the scenes sneak peek on our next build. So you remember how I told you that we were going to be building out new housing for all of our birds? Well, we got our hands on a 53-foot refrigerated reefer container, and we're going to be converting this 53-foot long reefer container into animals housing the same exact way that we built out our luxury goat apartments. We'll be turning this huge building into a bunch of little individual animals houses with cute designs on the front. Just like our luxury goat apartments, sponsors can help support this build and get their family name and chosen design and colors on the front of this. So if you want to help sponsor this build, just send us an email directly at alyssasanimals@yahoo.com and we can set that up. And this way, when we do our morning and evening routines, you'll get to see your family's name as the animals come out of their house in the morning. One of the cool things about this reefer trailer is that it actually has a refrigerator unit on it, so we can keep it nice and cool in here even in the hottest of summer months. It's going to be so perfect, and the best part is that this building, because it's on wheels, makes it super easy to evacuate the animals if we ever need to. All right, now where do I even start with this next sneak peek? Because this thing is ridiculous and it's going to be such a cool project. I haven't shown this to anybody yet, but we were actually able to do a straight trade and we swapped a golf cart that we weren't even using for this boat float. So somebody actually designed this thing to be a float in a parade, and when the parade was over, they didn't need this boat float anymore, so they put it online to trade. It's on a trailer so that it can be moved around. It's not waterproof like a boat is, obviously, but this is gonna make such a cool part of our animals playground, and because it's got this whole room in here, we're gonna turn this room into a house for the ducks, because of course it makes sense that the ducks are gonna be the ones that live on the boat. There's lots of windows in this room already, which is perfect for ventilation, but also when you come out onto the main deck, there's even an area up on this upper platform right here that we could even convert this area into another little animal's house. Or of course we could just attach this part to our playground and let this be a play space. But this area could be a really cute little house, just adding a little roof and a little bit more walls for animals like goats that would have no problem climbing upstairs like this. There's even a whole little hidden secret space underneath this area right here, which could potentially even be turned into something else. There's just so many potential possibilities and ideas. I cannot wait to get started on this project because this is going to be a fun one. All right, now this building will look familiar to you if you've ever come and visited us back when we were open to the public in Naples, Florida. You'll remember we used to host all sorts of fun events in this building, and when we moved, we deconstructed it, took it all apart, and brought it here with us. But now it's been almost 3 years already that we've been here, and we finally got around to putting it back together. This building actually used to be open on the back and the side, and it was more of a pole barn type of a building, so we actually added walls all the way around and then cut out 2 more doors, one on each side, so now we can really use this building for so many different things. But there's just so many good memories in this building, and I'm so happy that we finally got it set back up. Now let me show you the dirty, gross reality of having lots of animals, because it's definitely not all cute aesthetic houses and rainbows over here. Let's be real, animals poop a lot. So what do we do with all that poop? Well, we actually save all of it, and we pile it all up in the very back corner of our property, and then we sell it. Manure, especially when you have a nice blend of various animals' manure, is a really good fertilizer for gardens. So as crazy as it sounds, we list our animals' poop online and we sell it. And whatever we don't sell, we use for our own plant and fertilization needs. So this is our outdoor project storage section. When the hurricanes tore apart all of our buildings and fencing and things like that, we wanted to salvage as much of it as we possibly could. We like to reuse and repurpose things, and so now we have piles of boards and fencing and pieces and parts, and you never know what we can build out of all of it one day. And then in addition to our outdoor storage, we also have this whole 53-foot long reefer container for indoor storage. So let me show you that. Just remember, we listen and we don't judge, right? Here we go. Our dirty, messy junk drawer full of random stuff. All right, let's get into it. So this is really just a collection of a bunch of, I have absolutely no idea what to do with yet pile. I mean, these are literally canvases from events that we used to do back in Naples that
my little hoarding heart can't seem to get rid of for some reason because it's so cute and Kevin hand drew them. So how am I supposed to get rid of that? How do you honestly even go about organizing something like this? It's just all so random. I mean, these jugs I plan to make little enrichment balls out of. I have to screw holes into the side of them and then we can hang them and then the animals can smack it around and everything. Lots of just various tools and parts and pieces and things that, you know, you need one day. You're gonna need one random item. I never know when I'm gonna need any of these things, but I just know one day I'm gonna need these things. So we just hold on to it. If you guys know Kevin and I, we're total neat freaks. We like everything clean and organized. I like things labeled and put away and in spots where they should be. And this is not it. Look at this random cow thing. Like, how do I get rid of this? But also, what do I do with this? I just have no idea yet. So she's just gonna sit there on the shelf. Oh, this is a bunch of stuff that I had planned if we were ever gonna put a little Airbnb or little place that people could come stay at. That I got all these cow decorations that we could decorate the little Airbnb to be so cute. Ring lights, PVC pipes for waterers, holiday stuff. Oh my gosh, the first donation box. And I glued this unicorn stuffed animal to a bucket. Got donations when we did events. Super cute, but it's a good memory. I don't really want to get rid of it. It's also getting ruined here, so it doesn't really help that it's just sitting in a pile of stuff. I definitely need to come in here one day and just go through all of this and organize it. This is the vision, okay? Racks all the way down both sides. Big racks, and everything is in one of these types of bins, and there's a label on the front of the bin, so everything is organized, labeled, and eventually we'll get there. But for now, this is the anxiety room. Oh, I need to put this back out. Look how cute. Also, a lot of these things, we took all this down when the hurricane hit and just honestly never put it back up because we just kept getting hit by hurricanes and it just became pointless taking stuff out and putting it back down. So that's our big dirty junk drawer. Also in the back corner of our property is our quarantine pasture. This is our 60 by 40 pasture that we use for any new animals, sick animals, or just any animals that need to be separated from the other animals for any reason. It's really nice to be able to have a designated space that's already set up because you never know, especially in rescue, what situation you might find. And so having this quarantine pasture is an absolute must for us. And eventually I would really love to be able to have a quarantine building as well. So this area on the left is our dry lot. It has no grass in it. It's all dirt. And a dry lot is really good to have for a bunch of different reasons, especially when you have so many different animals that all require different care. Having a dry lot helps us to better manage things like their grass consumption and allows us to better control their feed intake. It reduces overgrazing and just overall makes things easier to monitor. And then coming right off the dry lot is the Hold Your Horse headquarters, because this is the building that holds the horses. This is our horse barn building, and even though it's meant to hold the horses, it really only holds the horses for a very short amount of time because we currently turn our horses out at night. Turning our horses out at night helps so much with so many different things. It helps keep their joints from getting stiff. It helps reduce stress and any stall related issues like cribbing or pacing. We've dealt with all of that, and being outside overnight, they're mentally way more relaxed than being stuck in a stall, and it's working really great for our horses. But that's why you don't see any bedding in the stalls, because we just bring them in to be able to separate them while they're eating, and then we turn them back out into the dry lot overnight and they sleep right next to all the cows. Also, we didn't fully enclose the stalls because our animals are really bonded to each other and they want to be able to see each other, so we just kept the stalls open. We also added this little tack storage room, and it houses the solar panel system because this building runs fans and lights through solar power. And then on the outside of the building, we have yet another project started and not finished yet, but we're going to be using these horse stall gates so that they'll have outdoor runs coming right off of their stalls. All right, are you guys ready for the grand finale? Because if you've made it this far and you're here on this channel, then you guys deserve to know a secret that no one else knows, the secret behind our goat Dixie's BMW i3. Now, this secret I've never told anybody before, and listen, it's not because I was trying to hide this or anything, because when we first got this BMW, I was gonna share where we got it from, and I was gonna tell you guys what we were doing with it, but then the comments were so hilarious. They literally still to this day keep me laughing non-stop when people see goats climbing all over what they think is a $50,000 BMW i3, and the goats are just headbutting the rims and just beating this BMW up as goats do. The comments, oh my gosh, the comments are just so ridiculous and hilarious, and some days I just really need that laugh, you know? So I just haven't told anybody, but here it is. Dixie's BMW i3 is fake.
It's an illusion. It's not a real vehicle. When you get underneath this, you'll see that this is actually just a fiberglass shell made to look exactly like a BMW i3. So this BMW was actually made and designed as a marketing tool. This was used as a static floor display inside of a mall and inside of the BMW dealership to basically just give people an idea of what the BMWs look like. And they literally even wired up lighting so that the brake lights and the headlights work so that it looks even more realistic. But this thing is literally just cut out of fiberglass and put on this little frame. It's really lightweight, and that's why you'll see on the roof it's starting to bend in a little bit. So that's why we put this pallet for a little extra strength on the top. And our plan is actually to cut out this door right here to create a front door and reinforce this vehicle and turn it into Dixie's house so that she can live and sleep inside of the BMW. Okay, so I totally think that we should just keep this our little secret though. So only the people who actually watched this video on this channel all the way through will know. And then it'll just be like our own little inside joke. And this way, you guys will get to laugh and enjoy all the hilarious comments with me. Anyway, that's all I've got for this. So thanks for touring the sanctuary with me. And if you want to know more in-depth details about any of our projects, you can scroll back through our channel because I always make detailed DIY videos for every project that we do. See you guys for the morning routine.